There we go. We are live.
Wonderful.
Let me just share the stream to other people. 2 seconds. Let's get on mine. That one. Sorry, everyone. Right, so just while I'm setting all this up, I am here with my good friend Glaucus.
Hello.
We will be discussing some predictions that we have sort of formulated about who is going to win the British general election and by how much. So, whilst we think, well, it will be fairly obvious to everyone that the Conservatives will win, we're wondering by how much and why this is. Now, the reason why we think this is fairly predictable is this is actually the first time in history, or at least in recent history, that we have a single issue election, which is based on, well, the EU referendum, obviously. So we've come up with a few little if clauses, or if-else clauses for those of you who are technical, which have given us full results for England. We're only going to be discussing, or probably only going to be discussing England tonight, because
there are more difficulties elsewhere.
Yeah, the jocks are notoriously fickle, and best of luck to them. We like them that way. The Welsh, I've got a reasonable. They're not that much different. Well, they are different, but not that bad. We like
more confidence in the results there.
Yeah. We like the Welsh and we're more confident. They did a good
and
job.
Scotland is not necessarily a single issue election for them. So.
No, we thought about modelling Indy Ref 2 or the Drive 4 Indy Ref 2. However, it's I don't know the feeling on the ground there. As you can probably tell by my accent, I don't live in Scotland.
Yes.
And yeah, so we sort of, well, in the model we have, most of it goes to SNP, except for a couple on the borders which go to Britain. So Conservative.
Yes.
And Northern Ireland.
Slip.
Yeah, and Northern Ireland, I do not have a clue. And why would I? The politics there is very complex due to a series of issues that go back far beyond when I was born and remain so on to this day, including the hung parliament. So as you may be able to see, I'm sort of vaguely scrolling down just to explain the spreadsheet. C, so the column C, this one, is my prediction, or our prediction, for who will win the seat. As you can see, there's a lot of blue there, as one might expect. D is how that seat voted during the EU referendum. Now, this might not be exactly precise, as the voting for the election wasn't divided up by constituency. This is post analysis.
Yeah, it's a good guess.
So it's a good guess. I've just seen an error in the spreadsheet. I apologize. I thought I fixed all of these. It doesn't really change anything. Well, I hope it doesn't change anything. There we go. No, it doesn't. It's an approximation, but it's reasonably well matches up the map that you would see. The only surprising one, which I don't think we will come across this evening, is it turns out that one of the Scottish constituencies voted to leave. So you might remember the whole of Scotland voted to remain, not if you split it up a constituency. So if I quickly scroll down to the results.
Which constituency is that, as a matter of curiosity?
Let's have a look. It is Banff and Buchan.
Banff and Buchan, okay.
Yeah,
I shall have a look at those chaps whilst you continue explaining.
Yeah. So if we just focus on the results that we're going to look at tonight, you can see in England a very convincing win for the Conservatives. I think they win exactly half the seat. No, that's me being retarded. They win well over half the seats. I read a 2 instead of a 3.
Yes.
So the Conservatives...
It's a clean sweep for the Tories.
Yes, it is, and even in the overall results, which, yeah, I'm not as confident on. It's still a very convincing majority for the Conservatives. If you look over to the right, we've got, ignore K for the moment, we'll come to that in a second, but L, M, N, and O are all the results from historic elections. So we have to look back towards the Tony Blair years. So that's the 2001 election, that's the 1997 election. For the last time we had a government with this many seats, and even then the Conservatives were not doing as badly as Labour are now. As you can see, the rise of the SNP has really hit Labour in recent years, and you can see that only really happened in the 2010 election.
Yes.
Which is where you see that, which is where you first get a Conservative majority. K, if anyone is wondering, is who got the opposition seats. Now, I was quite surprised when I realised that UKIP had come second, so not the opposition seats, who had come second in each seat. I was quite surprised when UKIP had come second in 120 seats in 2010. That surprised me.
That's quite a large number, actually.
Yeah, it's only got one seat.
Yeah.
Well, was it
But of
two?
course, I mean, we saw that. We had, of course, the whole proportional representation argument then, because they also won a significant part of the popular vote.
4 million, wasn't it?
Can't remember exactly.
It was quite large.
I think it's a bit larger than that, but I can double check.
Yeah. By the way, so shall we go over how we arrived at the? Sorry, that's probably very flickery for everyone. Massive. Well, even being kind to Labour, I think we were kind to Labour a little bit in this, but the massive Tory majority, because Labour here lose 92 seats.
Yes.
No, sorry, not 92. I was looking at the opposition one. 73 seats.
73 seats, okay.
So that's around or just under.
And to whom do they lose these seats? Is it predominantly losing these seats to the Conservatives, or does this also contain considerable losses to the Liberal Democrats and SNP?
Well,
where they still can lose to the SNP.
They lose their one to the SNP, according to I mean, if you're going to, I don't think that. Well, they lost Labour Council for the first time in the local elections, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
So I don't think that's unreasonable. They lose. Well, the Conservatives gained 56 seats.
Yes.
So that's a large chunk of Labour gone.
So how many seats do the Liberal Democrats gain?
15.
15. Okay.
UKIP hold their one in Clacton, which we'll come to later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wasn't with all the reasoning behind it. I wasn't going to just make a special rule for them. I thought that sort of violated the whole principle of trying to simplify the process.
Yes, you're entirely right regarding the number of votes. UKIP had 3.8 million at the last general election.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise. Yeah, I thought I was. I remember having arguments with people about it. I remember one where I had an argument with someone about whether the Conservatives were evil or not, and they brought up global warming. So I told them that Mrs. Thatcher did the greatest thing ever for global warming, which was shut down all the coal mines. To which they decided they weren't sure whether I was trolling or not. I wasn't sure whether I was or not, because it's sort of true, but I knew it would piss them off. But either way, let's get on to how we've actually arrived at this. So
yes,
this is for those who are logic or computer-based logic literate, an if-else clause system. So if the first clause is true, the spreadsheet will decide that result, fix it, and then only if it is not true, move on to the second one. So in the order that we go through these results, they take priority. So
we have a list of prioritized rules where
yes.
the foremost rule takes precedent and decides the decision, or makes the decision.
So we have 12 rules, even if rules 2 through to 12 say something different to rule 1 will take precedence. So let's get started. So the first one is the standard incumbent bonus, which is being present historically throughout elections. And for this election, I've set it at 14% majority. Normally, it's a 20% boost. So for you to avoid you don't get swings of much more than sort of 20 or so against the incumbent. I've reduced what is needed this time simply because Brexit will take precedence.
Yes, and of course, not having a majority over 14 does not mean that the incumbent will necessarily lose control of the seat. It's just the case that it proceeds to slightly more detailed rules.
Yes. So as you can see, I think the vast majority, or you can, if you look at column I, I'll highlight it here. If you just keep an eye on it, those which have the large numbers can instantly get ignored. They're probably going to stay with who is in control. So if column I is more than 14, H is who won in 2015, you're going to see that reflected in 2017. And as you can see, the sort of reasonable majority of seats or automatically get assigned. This is sort of how the Conservatives and Labour historically, for those of you who aren't au fait with British politics, have tended to dominate the elections for the past, well, since the post-war period, because they just have so many safe seats. So we're saying that safe seat of 14 or more is at 14% majority or more.
Yeah.
Given the wipeout of Labour, though, in the council elections, I'm not sure if I haven't set the bar a little low.
Well, of course, that's one of the interesting questions. Could this be adapted to the council elections and then compared? But I resist that to an extent, because council elections are to a larger dominated by local politics and by the known personalities. So
yes. Although I think a lot of people were using it as a protest vote at Corbyn.
Certainly.
I think that's why probably they were wiped out in Glasgow for the first time, or not wiped out, but they lost the majority. In Glasgow, simply because they hate Corbyn there, or enough hate Corbyn.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So moving on to the second rule, I've said that a strong Remain vote, so more than 10% majority. So we're looking at column E here. And for reference, if it's in sort of the bluey colour, that's the majority for Leave, and the negative in the sort of pale yellow colour is Remain. I haven't been discriminatory. It just makes the writing of the clauses easier. So I had to have one negative. Yes, I know. I'm terrible like that, aren't I?
Yes, absolutely. But in any case, yeah. So we do try to take into account the way the referendum swung in each constituency.
Yes,
and that plays into our latter rules.
Yes, but we've said that in a Labour or Liberal seat with a Remain vote, I think we said over 10%, didn't we?
15.
15. Oh yes, sorry, yeah, it was 15. Sorry, that's 10% later. If it's over 15, we think that there's going to be a reason. So that would have to be 57.5% of the voting public voting for Remain, because the Lib Dems have run on such a heavy Remain platform. and they're the only party in England, apart from the Greens, to have done so. The Greens are sort of irrelevant for the most part, except in Brighton. I think that means they can probably, if the feeling in that constituency is probably strong enough, that they will be able to steal seats off Labour, who are on the down now, and hold seats if they are Lib Dem.
Yeah, I think that in the most part that's fair. I think there are some cases where traditionally Labour constituencies have voted Leave, and that isn't going to be enough to make them swing to the Liberals arbitrarily. And of course, this comes down to their end and the views they represent. But of course, Corbyn has been a less than vocal Remainer.
Well, I think you mean voted Remain rather than vote Leave.
Did I say vote Leave?
Yeah, you did, but that doesn't.
Vote Remain.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah. Well, Corbyn was always Leave, even in his general. Sorry, not his general election. His leadership election.
I'd be inclined to agree. I think that Corbyn has been overtly favouring Leave.
And fair enough. He's actually correct. He seemed, if it helped to that, I think he might actually be a lot more popular than he is.
He might have had, some hope of attracting the otherwise disenfranchised working class. So,
well, you would have thought so, wouldn't you? I'm surprised they haven't. Oh, I see.
He's done a good job of alienating all groups of persons. It's an astonishing feat in many ways.
Yes, that's quite interesting, actually. If I move my mouse and do something else, it does go to the Kekistani Union flag.
It does indeed.
Oh, I didn't realise that. Oh, well, you now see my commitment to politics.
One whole desktop background.
Right, have we dealt with the second clause? Pretty much. Yes,
yes.
Yeah, I think we have. Right, the third clause is based on the polling, and this is very much. Why is it doing that? It shouldn't be doing that. Interesting. Oh well, this is not showing anything. Yes, the polls have indicated in Labour seats which have a majority of 15 and less, they will actually be flipped over to the Conservatives, which is what we base this rule on. Now, this is quite a substantial flip. It means that seats which have been Labour for ever, essentially, so even just here without having to search through anywhere, just from number 20, so Batley and Spen, which is a traditional Labour stronghold in the north. It's been Labour since 97, I think before, but I can't remember at the moment. Will flip to Conservative, and you also see just above that Barrow and Furness, which actually, to be fair, that seat has been slowly dropping in favour of Conservative for a while now.
Yes.
This seems to be the elections that may well tip it over the edge. Similarly, we get a solid sort of block here. So, but Birmingham, Edgbaston. Now, Birmingham is not a place where Conservative views are welcome.
Yes.
We think that might now be going Conservative. More confidently, Birmingham, Northfield, which
almost
voted
certainly
strongly to leave. That suggests to me that it will almost certainly go to Conservative, and as borne out by the rules. So there's no real surprises if we think about it through the Brexit lens rather than a feminist lens or anything.
Yes. Batley and Spen is most likely going to stay Labour. That's Joe Cox's old constituency.
Is it? Oh, of course it is.
So there is an example of a special case, as it were. We don't take those into account in our model, but I imagine the sentiment that remains from the death of Joe Cox. We'll keep that
Yes.
for Labour.
Interesting that her constituency voted to leave, though.
Yes.
Maybe that sentiment isn't as prevalent. Possibly. It might be different when it comes down to party politics.
I mean, I think you also have one must take into account the fact that there are a great group of people who would not vote for the Conservatives, and perhaps that's decreasing at the moment. But I do think that there are a number of voters who, on principle, would refuse to consider the Conservatives.
Possibly, yeah, probably true. Actually, yes, I can imagine that being the case.
Although I don't think there would be so many necessarily as to prevent the Conservatives taking the parliamentary seat in any case. It's just that their majorities might not be as large as the media at the moment would suggest.
Yeah, I mean, there is a possibility, of course, of getting the shy Corbyn vote. Those who...
Yeah.
But
I
then
suppose
again,
so. The silent Corbynites. I mean, that's not exactly what they're known for, but maybe a few of them are lurking in the corners, not willing to shout their views.
Yeah, I mean, elections are difficult to predict. This just seems to be one that you can do a first order approximation to. I don't.
Well, yes, and it's not only a single issue election in many ways. It is an election where only one party really has policies. And by that I mean even the semblance of policies. I would debate in the past that most of the parties have lacked policies anyway. But here there's nothing that resembles sane policy anywhere apart from with the Conservatives.
Yeah, there's a difference between having policies
apparently sane. You know, I think a lot of the socialist agenda appears apparently sane in the eyes of many. But here even that facade is lacking.
Yes. Because the Labour do have a manifesto, which if you read the little red book and
we haven't read it yet. We've only seen the draft.
No, it got published yesterday.
Oh gosh, seriously?
Yes, roughly unchanged. Although Corbyn has said he's not a pacifist.
Yes, he said he would use nuclear arms with general care or something. I can't remember it. Be careful about it.
Well, no fucking shit.
What?
I mean, yes, we might have Theresa Mayhem as our prime minister, but nobody's throwing nukes around willy-nilly. It's
at least not on this side of the Atlantic. Yes.
No, not yet. Yes. Oh, that will be fun.
Well, I mean, I suppose if we go the other way around, North Korea, Iran, and Pakistan are on the other side of the Atlantic.
Well, yes, I suppose. I was going to say, we'll see if North Korea's culture becomes as cancerous as Japan's has become. After nukes. In about 50.
Would be interesting.
Where did we get up to? Let's get it back vaguely on topic. You made me out.
Yeah, we were really going through the rules, weren't we? And we noted that we had this remain greater than 15%, then it swings towards the Liberal Democrats, and then we had the Labour Conservative rule, which I don't think we've covered yet.
I think we did. We said that was what polling indicated.
Oh yes.
And keep on going. So fourth. So the way through already. Right. So this is basically saying if the MP agreed with their constituents on the referendum, then we're giving them sort of a secondary incumbent bonus. So we're saying that if the majority either way in the referendum was greater than 10 and the MP agreed, then probably the incumbent is going to win.
Mm-hmm.
Simply because we've sort of neutered the incumbent bonus a little bit, but the first rule sort of boosted it a little bit with the sort of secondary backup rule. if you notice, just quickly scroll down, there are we've got a solid block there where the incumbent disagrees with their own constituents.
Yeah.
Some okay only by 1 to less than 5%, but nonetheless, you see the sort of difference in, which is really borne out, is the difference in the sort of political class and the general populace.
Yes.
If you look at what region that comes from, and it's okay, you've got Barnsley there, Northern Town, Ashford in the southeast, Aylesbury, somewhere I think there's somewhere in the home counties, Banbury, proper Cotswolds area. So it's not just, I mean, even from this little sample, you do get quite a nice spread around the country. So it's not an isolated feeling. It's very widespread. You get another little. So.
Yes, and it's in areas of varying affluence. I think that's the other point to make from, rural Oxfordshire to inner city metropolitan areas. Yeah. So from the south, it's not just the case that this is being decided by a particular location of the north or anything else, nor by a particular social class. It's a more diverse issue. Again, there's this myth of the working class and barbaric Leave voter, and I think more than ever this shows that that's nonsense.
Well, no, you can probably tell by both our accents that we are not good northern working class boys. Shock horror. But we were both pro-Leave, but I suspect for slightly different reasons I think there are a lot of different reasons to vote to Leave.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mine was much, or you can say.
No, I was just going to say that it's not just it was not just a token comment about immigration, as a lot of the left-leaning media and the Beeb, of course, would like to paint it to be.
Yeah, no, I mean, mine was very much we do not vote for the lawmakers. If you have an unelected legislature, what's the difference at the end of the day?
And we lack a means to directly hold them to account.
Exactly.
Sovereignty comes first. We can discuss sensible political systems after we have a sovereign state, and defense of that is primary.
Yes. Well, just quickly scrolling down, you see all of these Leaves. I'm sorry if I'm scrolling down too quickly for everyone to see, but all of sort of the Leave votes remain MPs. So that's D is, if it's not clear already, D is the vote result, F is what the MP was campaign, which side the MP campaigned on, or that you get a huge number. In Rutland and Melton, that's sort of close to Leicestershire. Mm-hmm. Rutland isn't in Leicestershire. Rutland's its own little mini county.
Yeah, Rutland is its own thing.
Melton is in Leicestershire. Rutland's a bit like Lesotho. It's just encapsulated by Leicestershire rather than South Africa.
I know which I prefer.
Yes. Then you get against Salisbury, so down in the West Country, and then Scarborough and Scunthorpe, northern working towns. I'm sure they'll love to be made into the same category, but the pattern is almost universal. It's everywhere. The only real place that consistently voted to remain are the affluent metropolitan areas.
Yes.
Which, okay, I'll say that, and then we have Sheffield Hallam. I don't know, is Sheffield Hallam affluent?
I have no idea. Let me find out for you.
Yeah, well, either way, it's yeah. And then we have the odd case where you get a Conservative seat where the MP was for Leave, and you get a very strong vote to remain.
It's a student constituency, Sheffield Hallam. That's why for so long it was held by Nick Clegg.
Oh, well, it's still held by Nick Clegg.
It is still held by Nick Clegg. You're right. Sorry. So they have the vote there.
Southeast Cambridgeshire. Now, have we come across an error in the form? No, we haven't, because obviously you've got the very large incumbency, incumbent majority.
But here, it is interesting to point out. So there is such a large position towards Remain, but there is also such a large majority for the Conservatives. And in that case, it would perhaps come down to local policies. We note that the MP is pro-Remain, the constituency is pro-Remain, and there is this large. You're showing identifiable data on that, you know.
Yeah.
I of course was very pleased to see Get Naruto.tv, which is a fantastic indication of your tastes.
You have to keep up the trolling.
I am entirely and completely disgusted with you, but
well, no, you have to. The only way to properly troll is if you can quite happily quote Naruto at them. I'm sorry, it's just a universal life truth.
You dig yourself hole after hole, sir. So
no, I will confess that I watch it on the grounds that it's proof that Japs want to be Aryans. They're into it now. I might start watching. What's his? They've carried on with his son. I haven't watched that cancerous bit. Even I can't be asked to waste 20 minutes of my life each week.
Yes,
I've done enough of it. It gets laborious after a while.
You wasted enough 20 minutes.
I wasted many 20 minutes. No, on another screen I'm looking at what would have come up. Actually, there is nothing identifiable on there.
Okay.
Apart from the fact that I slither. Yes, I slither. Haha, having. But anyway, where were we? Oh yeah, we were looking at Southeast Cambridgeshire.
We were.
Where are we? Where's the streaming bit? Oh, there we are. So, yeah, 48.5% to 20.2, sorry. Is that's a large turnaround of votes. I mean, it's a 16,000 majority. It's going to be tough to overturn. Yeah, 12,000, sorry. So, you know. Sorry, 16,000. What's going on? Brain's not functioning. I apologise. But yes. So that you're going to get little cases like that, which look odd, but once you delve into the data, about right. Plus, also, I think there does seem to be the general sentiment around, or certainly where I am. I don't know about you. That okay, we didn't entirely want to leave, but now we've chosen to. Let's just get on with it.
Yeah, on the whole. I feel that the greatest criticism May faces a lot of the time is that she has been very slow about making initial progress, and it's the same thing with this election. I do feel that there's a general opinion that there should have been a snap election when she took control of the party. So I think people want to get it done now.
Yeah. That's entirely as it has been presented to me. It's pretty. When there were calls for the second referendum or whatever, it's quite interesting talking to a lot of people. They just went, "Well, no, we're not going to have a second referendum, even though I voted Remain in the last one. I'm not being bullied into voting again, so we make the correct decision."
I heard that as well. It
It's
was heartening that people were willing to defend the views of a majority. Although I do wonder how many would if they were put to the test. It's at least a pleasant sentiment.
yes, you hope so, even though obviously you can't know for certain. It seemed to be. Oh, there were a few who didn't like the fact that we had to leave the EU, but what can you do? Anyway,
The EU clearly couldn't stop itself becoming a socialist superstate, so
no,
what's to be done, as it were?
no. I enjoyed Macron walking out to Ode to Joy.
Oh gosh, yes.
I genuinely did know. It shows the spirit of Vichy lives on.
Has he gone over to Germany yet to lick Merkel's feet, or is he still eagerly waiting?
I don't know. I don't know if his mother's let him go yet.
You know, Merkel has the key for the chastity belt, though. He's going to have to go sometime.
Yes, probably. I mean, he does now have. He has now got 3 mothers.
Yes.
This. Yeah. This is why I'm quite glad we have a stretch of water in between us and the French.
Yeah.
Not that Le Pen was someone whom I would be overly happy to see.
No, she was also a balmy socialist, but hell, she had some. She at least acknowledged the current situation. I feel that's one of the great dangers in politics at the moment. It's not so much where things swing. It's that there's such a large quantity of the political class that are either ignorant and deranged or malicious, intentful and malicious. I think they're the only 2 options here. You're either blind to reality, or you very much want to see the destruction of a civilized West.
Yes.
Economically or otherwise. You know?
Yeah. I think there is a sort of...
The USSR collapsed without migration. So it's not the only way to break countries. A migrant threat isn't the only threat, even.
No, it's not. I think certainly in Britain, there is a reasonable understanding that actually, no, we are our own nation state. And it's not a migration thing. It's not a sort of... It's not that we face risk of collapse from any one specific threat, but it's the sort of combined threats that can distort the values which do make us a nation state.
Of course, there's simply no room for a nation state within the EU's agenda. It's an outdated concept to them.
Yes.
Which is the same reason why they don't sort of try to create the distinctions and state-by-state freedoms you'd see in a federal system of some sort. They are looking for a monolithic bloc with an absolutist power. So.
Yes, there will. Yeah, well, it's the German Empire.
Yeah, it's one more Reich.
We've left to rejoin the American Empire.
Yes, absolutely.
It's one or the other. And
unwilling to be cucked by the Germans, we get cucked by the Americans.
Hang on, I'm going to have to let you control this for a second. I just need to be. I'll be 2 secs.
Okay. Right. So whilst the Yeti handles a phone call, I shall try and find some topic to introduce, which I think timely topic might be this this ransomware that has attacked the NHS and a variety of other targets. Well, I say targets, I think that's perhaps a misguided term to use. There's no indication that this is a targeted attack at all. It's rather, from what one can see, a distributed attack via phishing emails and well, a worm containing the ransomware, hitting vulnerable systems rather than trying to pick out any particular vulnerable system. It just hits everything it can. And I think it points out two rather significant issues at the moment. One being the way in which a lot of UK infrastructure, and not only UK infrastructure, actually worldwide infrastructure, is completely blind to the needs for good information security and robust network systems. And on the other hand, the fact that the vast number of journalists, reporters, and people who, for some reason, are given a platform to talk about the issue have absolutely no idea about computer security or the problem at hand. So it sort of exposed failures and ignorance in a twofold manner. For those of you unfamiliar with the situation, there has been a virus attack, to quote Russia's interior ministry, that has attacked a large number of institutions, corporations, government bodies, etc., worldwide. And this takes the form of a standard ransomware cyber attack, where the contents of a hard drive is encrypted and made inaccessible to the owner and user of the data unless they pay a ransom in bitcoins to a specified Bitcoin address. Now, there are a few interesting points here. Firstly, the ransom being demanded is about $300, which is, on the scale of things, extremely small. It suggests that this is not a targeted attack to take out and hold to ransom any particular large organization. This is not a means to try and ransom a whole government. This is just a ransom attack that's spread quite far and got a bit out of hand quite quickly. I think a ransomware with a demand of $300 is much more likely to have been designed to target individual users within secure systems rather than large institutions. And the second thing to point out is that the actual exploit that the ransomware utilizes is a Windows exploit that's already been patched by Microsoft. It was patched a few months ago. So it's it's a case of systems having been poorly maintained and in an insufficient IT policy that does not maintain the cybersecurity of the system. So there's clearly a whole host of security failures that have led to this sort of issue, and I think it's quite astonishing that we see it manifest in so many large bodies, from banks and financial institutions to, in our case, the National Health Service. Their excuse has been that due to the amount of bespoke software used in the NHS, they have many systems that are unupgradable. Now, in any sensible company that has bespoke and untransferable software, for example, in specialist laboratories and things like that, where there's a lot of control software that they can't necessarily patch or utilize on newer operating systems, there's a policy of leaving such machines entirely unnetworked. And if there is a requirement to network, make sure that it is through a very limited set of protocols just for the transfer of data. So it basically evidences a complete lack of understanding regarding information security concerns. Yes, it is. You're back. Fantastic.
Yes, I am.
Yes, it is returned. I was just making a couple of points that this evidences a total incompetence on the side of the NHS.
Well,
or it's an attack that
what do you expect?
Vulnerabilities that have been patched. Oh yes, of course. It's the thing that's frustrating is that the recommendations required to avoid this sort of failure, not only in terms of standard operation security, keep your systems patched and updated, but what do you do to make sure your IT system is robust against an unavoidable attack of this sort? These policies have been out there and well described for decades. And there's a recurrent theme that both government institutes and private companies refuse to really invest correctly in information security to protect their systems. And then they get bitten by it in large database leaks, in large attacks that cause service disruption. And then, worst of all, nobody manages to hold them to account. It's one of the questions I always raise when a private company has a large database compromised and they lose data that they have agreed within their privacy policy should be and shall be kept secure, that there is no class action lawsuit against them, that we do not try to hold them financially responsible for the data that they have lost control of. And in the case of the NHS here, there's undoubtedly going to be significant financial cost in recovering these systems and then later attempting to, probably with little competence, defend against future attacks. And this is a bill that shall be taken by the taxpayer as usual. So there must be a will to hold them to account. It's not a question of what went wrong and how much money do we have to pay to fix it. It is, why are you spending our money incompetently? So whether it's private sector or public sector, in the case of cybersecurity attacks and failures to protect information, people must try and pressure these companies into feeling a financial responsibility, preferably through lawsuits and payouts, because that's the only way you get a corporation to listen.
Yeah. Well. And yeah, I think we well, I'm sorry I left you to monologue there, but yeah, you sidetracked onto something vaguely relevant.
It was a thing at the top of my mind, so I enjoyed monologuing about it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. It's just large bureaucratic institutions should not be allowed to exist. They don't work.
They don't, but here this is such a trivial attack. It's an unsophisticated and simple ransomware worm, and as I mentioned, it's asking for a ransom of $300, so it's very unlikely that it's been targeted at any of these institutions. It's just been put out there to catch individual users with vulnerable PCs. You know, if you're trying to hold the NHS to ransom, you ask for more than $300 per computer. So
the cleaner obviously logged on and did something stupid.
It's from what we can tell, it's phishing emails. They've just opened executable files masquerading as PDFs or something and installed the viruses. And of course, they don't have, for whatever reason, they don't have a sensibly set up network, so this then transmitted throughout the network as a worm. But it's trivial beyond belief. It's script kiddie level of ransomware. So. Which doesn't make it less effective. It still successfully encrypts the hard drive and also decrypts the hard drive if payments are made. Several of the corporations have been making the payments to recover their data, I suppose, where they have made an even greater failure in that they don't have any backups. But yeah, you'd assume a system like this, would have real-time or near enough backups. But hey. So yes, once again, people show that they're generally incompetent at setting up computer systems and refuse to invest in competence. And there is nobody to hold them to account.
No. Yeah. I'm just not surprised it's retarded.
It is.
Anyway, shall we get back on track?
Yes, let's do it.
So we've done 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got to the sort of secondary incumbent boost. 5. So this is basically if you voted to leave the EU with greater than 15%, it goes to Conservative. Just simply because there seems to be a sort of riding wave of support for them to get on with it. So in constituencies which have done to do so quite convincingly, that's probably how they are going to go. Mm-hmm. I can't see them really voting Labour unless they had the large majority, which we've already got rid of, which we've already accounted for, or if the sort of Labour incumbent was sort of pro-leave, so someone like Beast of Bolsover, name, not Frankfield, the other one. So I can't remember the name. Is it Dennis Skinner? No, it's not Dennis Skinner, is it? Oh, political aficionados will know who I mean. Dennis Skinner. It is Dennis Skinner.
Mm-hmm.
It was the right name. Yeah. So he is actually he's in a fairly safe Labour seat, but we'll see how safe it is in 2 seconds. Yeah, 26%. So it's caught anyway, but it's a very strong Leave vote. But I can't see him being unseated.
Yes.
By that, he's fairly. He's part of the furniture now in the House of Commons. Really.
Yeah.
He'll probably die on the benches there. It'll be fitting. I actually quite enjoy him being there. He had character. Yeah. So. Yes, I think that's it. If anything, this is now very much so from 5 onwards. It's very much clean-up operation because the first 4 predicted. I think about it's 500 of the English seats. I think about 80% of them fail, and so the rest are clean-up votes, but they clean-up jobs. Sorry, but they do have some little interesting sort of.
There are some quirky constituencies.
Yes, they do clear up the quirks. That's the one I was looking for. Yeah, so the number 6 is if it's a Labour seat that voted to leave and the Conservatives were second, it goes to Conservative. Now remember, this is going to work for a very small amount of seats that haven't been caught by the previous 5.
Mm.
So if that seems very biased in favour of the Conservatives, remember that we are.
Yeah, there are very few constituencies that are actually caught by that rule.
Yeah, so it's basically cleaning up the very small Labour majorities that voted strongly to leave, that haven't haven't been cleaned up. It would be
quite fascinating to look at how many constituencies each rule captures.
Okay.
Statistic. I don't know if there's a means you can print that out.
I did try to. So basically, there was not a ready-made formula in Excel to tell me what number of if. Because if you can see, it's got logical 1, logical 2, logical 3.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a per cell formula that's shifting.
Yes,
okay.
It's very logical test. So yeah, I tried to find something,
right.
but it didn't. It's annoying.
Have you looked at how much ordering the say if we keep the first rule, how much shifting the order of the latter rules affects the outcome?
Oh, hugely.
So this is very much rule priority dependent.
Okay, well, yeah, ish. So say I was to put, let's make it extreme. So this is gonna mess with stuff. Let's go to the end. So this is rule 12. So. Maybe it'd be best to actually go through the rest of them very quickly before we do this.
Let's finish them off first.
Let's finish them because the rest of them are fairly trivial. So basically, number 7 is if it's a Conservative seat which voted to leave, then it stays Conservative. If it's a Liberal seat where the Leave majority was greater than the general election majority, it goes to the opposition. I think this is 1 seat. That's how trivial that rule is. Number 9, if it's a Labour seat with a majority of less than 10%, that is, it goes to the opposition just because of the decimation of Labour we've seen recently. If it's a Liberal seat that voted Remain, it stays Liberal. By Liberal, I mean Lib Dem. Number 11, if it's a Liberal seat where the general election majority was voted greater than the Leave majority, then it stays Liberal because there's not enough willpower to overturn the Liberal vote. And number 12, this is just mopping up the rest of the seats, is if it's Labour opposition, then the incumbent wins the seat. So basically, if Labour came second last time, then
they stay at least second.
yes, yeah. So yeah, so right, let's do this ordering thing. I think that is probably the most. So we'll go for the most extreme one. So we're saying that if the Labour is opposition, then the incumbent gets it. So we'll see. We'll keep the first one first, and add in the comma. So obviously that. So just before we do that, the first one didn't change. So we're just doing this for England. So we've got 367 Conservative, 146 Labour, 118 Lib Dem.
No, not 118. 18.
So 18. Bloody hell.
118 Lib Dem. That would be shocking.
It would be. Not that they're making a more effective opposition than Labour. And then you've got Green. You could. Oh, I've put the Speaker in as well. The Speaker is a sort of hallowed seat, which you don't run against normally. I think UKIP are running against Burko this time, but most people don't run against the Speaker. And the Speaker's normally in a fairly safe seat anyway. So that's basically a person who doesn't vote but controls the House. So let's do this formula right the way down. Let's go too far. Don't know how much that would have changed anything. Yeah, it's only slight actually.
It's tiny. So the fact of the matter is, this. In fact, it hasn't shifted the number of seats Labour has at all.
No, it's just given more. No, it has, hasn't it?
No, it hasn't. 146 to 146. The Liberal Democrats have gone from 18 to 12, and the Conservatives have gained those.
Yeah.
The Labour seats are identical.
Interesting. So that's probably because it picks up, instead of the strong Remain seats going to Lib Dem,
they go to the Conservatives.
They go to the Conservatives. Yeah. So I think that makes it. It's evidence that actually having the rules in that order is a good idea, because I think we prioritise the Brexit referendum over whether Labour is the opposition or not. So basically, it's saying in those seats which will strongly Remain.
So let's stick the MP and voters agree on EU rule second into the third in that case.
No, it's fourth actually.
Fourth, yes, fourth instead of
four. No, hang on, 3. There, okay. Let's have a look. Oh no, too many. So sticking that second, yeah.
Yep.
Let's have a look. Doesn't seem to have done anything. What's going on? So what have we got now? Oh, Conservatives still 373, Labour 146, Lib Dems 12.
Are you sure it worked? Yes, it did. No, yeah, I'm not sure it worked. Try it again. I'm not convinced that.
It did. It did, yeah. H2 equals 656. So H2 equals. No, that's the wrong rule. What does that rule say? So H2 equals 656. That's what's B656. Should be. Yeah, hang on. That's incumbent is Labour, opposition is Tory. Oh, that's saying that. That's giving it. Oh, hang on. No, I did. I put rule number 3 second. Sorry. So actually, we want that one come back to there. I'm going to undo. Where are we? There.
yeah, we're back to where we were with the original spreadsheet now. Sorry.
So the idea here really is to get to weight this as much towards Brexit as is possible.
Yes.
This is the
Hang on, where are we?
Brexit
Logical test 2, value of true, logical test 3. Aha, there we are. Found it. It was, sorry, that's why it probably confused me, because I dragged it too far first time around. There we go. Present order shot stays conservative. Let's see what that does to the rest of the map. It'd be nice if I'd put this up in graphical form, but I really couldn't be bothered. Here we go. Okay, so conservative 362.
Okay.
So actually, it kills the Lib Dems. That's what happens.
But the Conservatives have fewer seats now, so Labour has one more seat compared to the default. The Lib Dems have lost seats. The Greens have lost seats.
No, the Greens haven't lost seats.
The Greens haven't, sorry.
The UK...
Has the SNP gained? No.
And the Conservatives have lost 5. No, this is only in England, so it won't affect the SNP.
Oh, this is only in England. Okay, yes. But in any case...
That's quite interesting.
Okay, yeah, so Labour have gained a few seats. Labour's gained quite a few seats, actually, in this model.
Yeah.
Labour has gone from 146 to 160, and the Conservatives have gone from 367 to 362. So this is actually the best case scenario for Labour.
They're still looking at Tory numbers in 97 and 2001.
Yeah. On the grounds that so many of the Labour MPs voted for Remain. If they can rally to that cry, they might be able to secure, or actually in either direction, but given that they all voted to Remain, that is fairly monodirectional, they may be able to secure a few more seats, but that's still suggesting a 362.
Yeah.
And of course, on the flip side, it disadvantages the Conservatives in their constituencies that voted Leave and where their MP voted for Remain, or supported Remain. So it's
yeah, that's actually, when you think about it, that's what you expect.
Yeah.
What else can we mess around? Oh, let's just put what's rule number 4? Should we move this back to where it was, or should we keep it there?
Let's keep it there for a bit.
Let's keep it there for a bit. And let's do the EU leave over 15% goes to Tory.
Yeah. Okay.
Should we put that second or third?
Second.
Yeah, I guess that's 5. Value of, there we are. Yeah. This, I think, will turn a lot of blue. This should really advantage the Conservatives over everyone else, because it's only resulted as Conservative. Maybe, did I actually do that right? Yes. Oh no. Did I do that right? That doesn't look right to me. It's to 15. No, I did do it right. No, that didn't have as much of an effect as I expected it to.
So what has that done? 363, 160. Oh, it's done very little.
That's interesting. Why? So that's conservative. I mean, let's just have a quick look. No, hang on, wait. No, it's not right. It's not right. Oh no, hang on, wait. No, that gets superseded by that. And maybe those which voted strongly that tells us those that voted strongly to leave tend to have quite safe in quite safe seats.
Yeah, it does.
That's very interesting. I hadn't expected that. Well, I suppose we were saying earlier how it's quite a nice spread of demographics. But maybe that does feed into the because there's Oldham and Saddleworth. That'll have flipped just then. Yeah. Oh, I didn't expect it to be that little. Maybe that does say the split demographics between sort of the rural Brexit vote and the working city Brexit vote, where you tend to get the strong Leave votes.
Yeah.
And strong and safe seats.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Okay, that's clever. Okay. Maybe something did come out of this.
So the Remainers...
Should we say that if it's a Labour seat and it voted to leave, it's going to go to Conservative? I feel like we should put that, but what will
why not? Let's stick that in and see what happens.
To be fair, I think that'll
that should paint it all blue.
That should paint it all blue. I think this would be more fair to put what is now fourth. Just on the grounds that other. Oh come on, this is very annoying. Oh no, escape. Where are we? That's fifth, so that'll be 6. I think because otherwise we do get, that'll paint it all blue. I don't think that's actually realistic, to be honest.
No, but let's see how blue it paints it. Because again, if it's only a small difference, it shows that the Remainers are actually in a
fairly good.
It's a small set of safe seats. They're densely packed Remainers.
Okay, I'm not sure. I think it's just going to paint it blue.
Yeah, probably.
Let's see, or not. We're very bad at predicting what's going to happen. Let's just check it actually works. I've had a series that's not actually working. Did that actually work?
Can be greater than 15.
No, that's. Okay, no, that did not work, did it? So where are we? Aha, maybe is that where it is? Yes, it is. For some reason, it was on. I need to. No, don't drag. Don't drag. This has gone badly. Yes, okay, that'll be why. Don't know why I did it on Newton. So that says H2. So, oh good God, this has gone awfully wrong, hasn't it? What's that saying? Nope. So hang on, where are we? What did we say we were putting there again? Leave vote. Is that the Labour vote?
Leave vote greater than 15% goes to Con, wasn't it?
So hang on, right, okay. Let's undo. Okay, good. I think the backwards works. So let's go up to the top. So number 5, we're looking for. Oh, I know why that didn't work. This doesn't seem to be doing anything. Why is it not doing anything? So we've got Conservative seat, Labour opposition, No, sorry, Labour seat, Conservative opposition voted to leave is now second. Right.
Yes.
Then we did something else. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
So that is still not doing very much. Then we tried to paint it blue, which was number 5. So I think is that. No, that's Lib Dem. Is that okay? Oh yes, because it was still superseded by me. Okay. No, I think what we're seeing is that the incumbent actually still holds sway in a lot of places.
So how much is the shift? What are the end figures?
Not very. I think we've managed to no different really. So 382 Conservative, 173.
Oh, tiny difference, yeah.
I don't know how Labour's improved. Oh, that's because we're MP voting with their people.
Yeah. So in other words, we're saying that our first rule, which is that a majority of greater than 14 goes to the incumbent, decides everything. So how about we change that to a majority of greater than 20% goes to the incumbent?
I think we're going to get a lot of
Or swings.
Well, I think we're going to get a lot of non-results as well. We might get a few swings. Maybe to change in order. Yeah, we get 1 in Labour not so safe seat anymore. 2 again on a Labour not so safe seat anymore that voted to remain. Okay, same again, but not solidly remain. 3 in a. Oh, interesting. Okay, that's an interesting case. So it's Labour versus Liberal, but in a Leave voting seat.
Mm-hmm.
Then standard Labour now no longer safe seat that votes to remain. Okay, so we only get 5 by upping it that much. So what's that do? Fucking hell, okay.
Okay.
That's how to decimate the Labour Party.
Yeah, it throws it to Labour even more strongly.
Well, no, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
Conservative 400.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, it throws it to the Conservatives.
Yeah, 381 is what we were at for Conservative.
Yeah, absolutely. So in other words, it was the 14% rule that was keeping Labour in.
Yes. Where's that? Did we check Labour? Okay. Labour majority. Maybe what we do, actually, I know how we fix this. Because if it's a Labour majority of less than 15, it goes to the opposition. So where is that now? This messing around with sheet has messed with my order. So what are we looking for? We are looking for. Well, let's go back up to the top so we're at least consistent. Yes, I know it was. Yes, that's why I hit escape. So we are looking for H2 and I2. Aha. Yes, there we go. So that should fix it. Or maybe it won't, but it might fix a little bit. Yeah, it fixes all but 2, I think. Oh no, all but 4. Maybe we just put. Maybe we just make the figures reconcile and go for 20.
Let's see.
Yeah, there we go. That's better. Okay, so that's Conservative 403, Labour 150, Lib Dem 16, SNP 57. Oh yeah, Scotland. UKIP lose their seat. We did make UKIP lose their seat though.
Okay, let's see.
But yeah, that's looking horrific. That's the 403. Yeah, I somehow don't think that's the case.
I don't think 403 is likely. I think about 150 Labour seats is realistic.
I don't think they're going to sink that low.
I think they'll get about 150, 160 seats. Oh, right. Yeah, we've got the Scottish seats as well. Sorry, I didn't think of
that doesn't add anything to them.
No, not really.
Well, we'll have a brief look at Scotland while we talk about it. Scotland, I've got going all SNP, apart from, you can see that there, apart from Berwickshire, Roxburgh, and Selkirk borders, and Dumfriesshire, Clydesdale, and Tweddle. Or Tweedale, I don't know if you pronounce this. Yeah. Which, yeah, that's borders as well, because that was the one Conservative seat. So yeah, I've got the 0.6% majority SNP seats switching to Conservative. The rest were all very solidly SNP, to be honest, apart from Eastern Bartonshire, Edinburgh South. Maybe that goes to Labour, I don't know. I'm not convinced about my Scottish predictions, to be honest.
No. As we mentioned earlier, that required some IndyRef 2 knowledge. So it's clear that as the argument becomes more biased towards Brexit, the more of a single issue election this is, the more it favours the Conservatives. So on the flip side, I'm decreasing the majority rule percentage here. And at 12%, we have the Conservatives at 376 seats versus Labour at 175. So they're starting to gain favour. I'm going to put that down to sort of a lower extreme and say we have an 8% rule, where any seat with an 8% majority is safe, which is, of course, entirely unrealistic. But let's see what it does. And even with an 8% rule, the Conservatives are at 361 seats. So it doesn't matter which way you say it. Really, you swing it really, whether people are voting mainly based on Brexit or mainly based on existing safe seats, with the Brexit only deciding the close calls. You have a very significant swing towards Conservatives. You can't really get Labour any traction in any of these circumstances, and the Liberal Democrats are still looking at something between 12 and 20 seats, which...
Yeah, roughly right.
Right. I don't honestly believe they'll get that many. I think they're going to be at the lower end of that estimate, but we'll see.
Yeah, see, if we keep the incumbency bonus at 15, this is change with the order changes that we've done.
Yes, of course, I'm doing it without any order changes, and without the order changes, they're at 16. So,
yeah. Well, actually, was that 15 that I said? The one, sorry, I can't remember. Yeah, 15.
That is 15.
So, okay, the order changes don't have as big an effect as I thought they would.
No, so in many ways, this appears to be a two aspect model. One aspect being how safe is a safe seat, and the other aspect being what is the Brexit sentiment.
Yeah, both. Basically, it seems to be, if there's the swing to the Conservatives that we see since the last election. I'm going to get, what's the ICM polling data?
But the key point being that the strong Remain seats are the already safe seats on the whole. All their seats, the safe seats in either direction, one should say. They're either Labour safe seats or they're safe seats that are for the Conservatives that are strongly affluent seats like Westminster. So in either case, we're unlikely to see a change.
Yeah. Well, we're looking at. This is according to electoral calculus. I'll bring that here. A swing of, so what's that difference? That's 6.6%. Now, 21.5%. So what's that? That's 14.9% swing to the Conservatives. So okay, our 15% figures. Roughly.
So they showed 331 versus 232. Interesting.
Where are you getting that from?
Electoral calculus.
Oh no, 331 versus 232 is the 2015 seats.
Ah, okay.
Their
I was
predicted
very
seats.
surprised that they were sort of.
Yeah, their predicted seats are 413 versus 159.
Okay, that lines up fairly well with
I
our
did, yeah.
predictions.
Well, I did say I
Yeah,
thought
with the
we'd been
Liberals down at
kind.
7. Okay.
Yeah, I did say I thought we'd been kind to Labour.
We were, and I think if we just make a few changes, we see that quickly Labour
Well,
fall down to that
I think
number of seats.
which one's that? Yeah, I think if we put the incumbency second and put Brexit first, because remember we haven't actually put Brexit at the forefront yet. Why has that gone wrong? I know why that's gone wrong. I forgot to select the right amount of data. If we actually put Brexit first, because we always help incumbency first, I think this might be the thing which really tips it. Yeah. See, that puts the moment you do that, you get Conservatives up at 433.
433. Yeah, exactly.
So that's actually I don't like that. That's basically saying if that's saying if the vote was to leave, the incumbent was, that's saying in a vote to leave in a Labour seat, which Conservatives came second, that it's going to go to the Conservatives.
Yep.
I think maybe if we put the incumbent bonus is based on Brexit rather than stop those bloody formulas. If we put the incumbency bonus based on their Brexit stance rather than their party stance, essentially, we might see that a little more realistic. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it'll still be fairly blue though, because our second clause says do Conservative. 428. So it actually doesn't reduce it by that much. Basically, it just puts the Labour levers back in place. Of course, you've also got special cases like was it her name, Gisela Stewart, who is a Labour leave but isn't standing this time. So whether that kills the formula for that seat, I can't remember what seat she's in. Possibly, but yeah, that's very blue. Oh, it puts UKIP back. Interesting. Of course, that's wrong. Mostly on the grounds that Carswell's not standing, so they do lose their incumbency bonus.
Yeah.
And he said to vote for Conservatives. I don't know. I don't even know if UKIP standing in Clacton.
Surely. No, maybe.
UKIP candidate dropped in Shewing.
Yeah, but I think there is a replacement candidate.
Oh no!
So someone is standing.
Mr. Oakley will be. Yeah, Oakley.
Amazing.
They're not going to win,
Oakley.
so that's broken. But that's a special case again. Yeah,
but we don't have a clause shifting MP. I mean, the incumbent needs to be assuming that the candidate hasn't changed, and that's not worked into the model.
Yeah, let's put right. So we've got Brexit preference first. Then, if it was a strong vote to leave, just a vote to leave. With one Labour versus Conservative, it goes Conservative, and then strong vote to leave. No, sorry, I2 greater than 15. H2. What's that for? Oh, that's the incumbency bonus is third. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I actually think if we shuffled if we did that, maybe if we put the two
Berners first. I think we come up with something slightly more realistic. That's the thing about having constituencies, that it does, rather than in the US where you vote for the president,
Yeah.
it does make change more sort of, it neuters change.
Yeah, of course.
So we're back up. Okay, Liberals stay on 15. Conservatives are back at 380 in the 380s. Labour are just under 170.
Mhm.
I think that electoral calculus thing was a little harsh.
I don't know. I think we're favouring the Liberal Democrats too much here. I don't think they're going to get 15 seats.
They're the only reason they're getting seats.
I think we may also be favouring the SNP a bit too much, because remember that's also considering the Scottish seats.
Yeah,
and I'm not quite convinced we'll see SNP in 57.
No, and neither am I. But I don't have a fucking clue how to do Scotland.
No, but I think that makes up most of the difference.
Yeah, really. Let's go back here. Sorry, SNP 50. Okay.
56. They do the Lib at 8 rather than 15.
No, 7. You're looking at the wrong one. Predict.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, side. 7. Yeah, 50. Yeah. So,
I think what we haven't done is take into account the swing to Conservative. I deliberately, explicitly ignored that.
Yeah, you're right. We haven't.
Simply because I didn't.
Focusing on swinging away.
I've swung it away from Labour, but obviously not enough. I mean, maybe we have. Where's the H2 equals? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's the Leave vote goes to Conservatives. But what should we have? We had the 21-point swing from Conservative to Labour.
Mm-hmm.
So if I just copy that rule, put that afterwards, and just do I2, I2 yes, greater than, less than the 21. Yeah, so that's their majority is less than 21.
Yeah. Okay.
Hang on, wait, I've got something wrong. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, that might be the great equalizer that brings us more into line with what they are saying. Or maybe not. Maybe I think, or maybe we put. No, we'd need to put that in front of the incumbency bonuses. We need to put that first.
Yeah. Okay. Stick that up there. But maybe we're not wrong and they're right. You know, the fact is, as we were mentioning earlier, we are going to have groups of persons that just don't want to vote for the Conservatives, no matter what their standing was, no matter what they saw. They've decided that UKIP is impossible and they don't like the Conservatives, so they're going to vote Labour anyway because everybody's better than the Tories.
Yeah. That brings us up to 417. With the Conservatives, it actually penalises Labour hugely. Yeah, I can't. Are you really going to get a government which is already in power winning that type of landslide victory? I mean, that's giving the Conservatives more seats than voted to leave.
Yeah, 417.
It's
a lot. It's a lot. I feel we're on the unlikely side of things.
I feel that when we were back at what we were doing originally, I think that was more slightly pessimistic if you're a Conservative, optimistic if you're Labour. But actually, I can't see the country swinging that much. I can't see Britain.
No, I can't see 4-7. I think it's. I don't know. You still have the SNP Liberal issue. I might be able to see 4-17, but with 8 Lib and 50 SNP.
Yeah.
Which brings Labour up to 150. I think it's very unlikely Labour will get less than 150 seats. That just seems.
150 seems to be the lower bound. Yeah, I agree with that. Well, the SNP I think may well lose seats over Indie Ref 2, or the attempt for.
That's going to be very interesting to see. I'm excited to see whether that's the case.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I really don't know.
So if we kept our ordering as it was at the start,
Okay,
no, that doesn't work either. Actually, no, don't try that.
Really?
Yeah. I haven't got something useful here. I've got something that suggests 30 Liberal Democrat seats.
I actually don't think that's unrealistic because if you look at the number of very strong Remain seats, I can see the Lib Dems getting up to 20, 25 seats. I can see that happening.
Oh, I can't see them getting 25 seats now. I think it's just too unlikely.
That's only having them take 10% of the constituencies that voted Remain. See where I'm coming from?
Yeah, but still.
I
think we'll see Lib Dems on 8 to 12 seats, SNP on 50 to 52, Labour 150 to 160, and Conservatives the rest.
Remember the Lib Dems before 2010. Well, 2010 got 56. In 2005 got 63. In 2001 got 52.
I do see your point, yes, but
they are at a very, very low point with 8. A very, very low point with 8. So yes, okay.
But I still think they lack credibility, and I don't see any political group that views them as having credibility. And even the mad students that were voting Lib Dem, they're Corbynites of all things.
Yes.
Or Green voters.
But I think you're going to get the Remain vote that doesn't want to vote for Corbyn and can't vote for the SNP or the Greens or Plaid Cymru.
Say that again, sorry?
I think you're going to get the Brexit Remain vote that can't vote for Greens.
For Labour, for Greens.
Want to vote for Labour.
Doesn't want to vote for Labour, voting Lib Dem. I see the argument. I wonder if this is going to dilute the vote too much in those regions between people that decide to vote one way and the next, and result actually in just a split vote, pushing things more towards the Conservatives.
Yeah. All of a sudden, the 417, that could push it up over 400, actually.
And of course, Blair said to vote for the Lib Dems, and that's poison to anything. So,
did he actually?
Yeah,
I saw.
Blair has said to vote for the Liberal Democrats.
I saw him in talks. I did see him in talks with
We should send him to North Korea as our North Korean peace envoy. It'd be a nice thing to do with Blair.
It would be.
Just give him as a sacrificial offering. North Korea, take Tony Blair. Do something with him. You can have him. Sacrifice him to your gods. To the spirit of the various King Jong and other strange people you've had. And
Yes.
And then leave us alone for some years. And don't build nukes.
Yes. I don't understand why he just won't fucking go away. I don't think we can be any more clear about not wanting him. He came back
I
to
don't
try
understand why the Antichrist can't just go away. But every single morning, I look in the mirror and he's staring back at me, behind my head. It's prevalent Antichrist everywhere.
Yes. I'm just looking at Wales. What rules have I put in for Wales? I've left the income. I think I put the incumbency threshold at 20% in Wales.
Okay.
I don't know why. Why did I put that higher?
I don't know.
I know that do I.
But it's okay.
It's yeah. I've done it roughly the same. Wales was quite similar to England, I remember. The spanner in the works really is Plaid Cymru. Because I just don't know who
I
they
have no
are.
idea. But I think it's realistic. They'll get, 3, 4, 5 seats, something like that. That seems to be.
I think they've got 4.
If only we knew someone who was Welsh.
No.
No, we don't, do we? Oh dear.
No, we do. Well, I do know. I know a couple of Welsh.
Amazing.
I'm fairly sure you have met one of them at some point. No, maybe not. Maybe not. I can't remember really. No, they got 4 in Merthyr Tydfil and Rhymney. No, that's. Oh no, wait, no, it's Llanelli. Sorry, I got mixed up with my Welsh alphabet. Yeah. I don't know about the colonies. I really don't.
Oh, they're not a colony. They're an allied kingdom.
Yeah, or principality.
Principality. The prince of the dwarves.
Yes. Well, Welsh is what Tolkien-based Elvish of, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. It's got excellent. They've got brilliant names. I adore the Welsh town names. They're fantastic.
Yes. Yes. It's just too many consonants, really.
But they're so quaint.
Well, it's 632.
They're really endearing.
How do you pronounce that?
I don't know. I wish Welsh was here to tell us. But I'm sure it would be wonderful. I'm sure the pronunciation would just make the Welshman so endearing. I'd have to say that's brilliant.
Yes. Well, I've put that as going for Plaid Cymru. Because really, with a name like that, how can it not be? No, there was some logic. Basically, as you can see, it's been historically Plaid Cymru. So, I think this is Plaid Cymru. I don't know. I know Cymru as well, not Cymru, which is how it's spelled. And I've got this. I've got the stronger Remain seats going for Lib Dems, and maybe I've got that one wrong because I think the Plaid Cymru, for those of you who don't know, the Welsh Independence Party. So sort of like the Scottish National Party, but less effective. I actually think that I've got that one wrong. That's probably going to stay green, well not green, but for my colour scheme, green. Yeah, I can see the Lib Dems inheriting a few seats from Labour and Conservative here because of where the Remain vote's strong. And I think Wales turned away from Labour in the local elections, didn't they? Let's get on the local election, please. One of the auto suggests was in Nepal. There we go. So So, Wales. Well, didn't entirely, but yeah, they lost 107 of their 500 or so seats. Yeah, for their 579, now 472. And yeah. So maybe not all over, but if we look at the number of seats they're losing in Wales, it's not. Yeah, I think we are going to see. It's not the Lib Dems lost seats in Wales as well. It's independents, Plaid Cymru, and the Conservatives who really won. The Conservatives won everywhere. They even won in Scotland.
They did.
If we look at this,
relatively speaking.
Well, yeah. But yeah, if you look in Scotland, there were two parties who gained seats.
Wow, they gained 161.
Yeah.
Wow, I hadn't looked at the Scottish results. I'm slightly astonished that they gained quite so many.
Yeah. Well, first preference votes, 32.3% to the SNP. Conservatives, 25.3%, up 12%. It's the Labour vote that's crashed. That's why I don't think Labour are going to get any seats in Scotland. And the Lib Dems are barely any increase, but they actually managed to lose seats. I'm so not upset by that. So not upset by that. Then yeah, I mean, Derbyshire flipped from Labour to Conservative. Yeah, well, you can see from the result column. It's a fucking catastrophe for anyone who's not a Conservative. Really. But
it's a catastrophe for people who are Conservatives as well, because the Conservative Party aren't Conservatives.
Yeah, I was talking party politics, not actual Conservatives. Yes.
But I mean, we're just voting for God Emperor May now, expecting an indefinite premiership. It's just we need a good opposition. It's not a good thing.
It leaves a bad taste in my mouth having to vote for them.
Same. I don't. Well, I support them more than the others, I suppose.
It's not support more than the others. I dislike them less.
Yeah. Well, the others are detrimental. They're just not plausible.
Labour are traitors.
And UKIP has unfortunately died on us, because there were a few UKIP MPs I would be inclined to vote for. Not many, but a few, and now there are none. So. Yeah.
Well, all the libertarian UKIP faction left with when Farage went, essentially.
So we're left without any real Conservatives or any real Tories or anything at all. We've just got the current Conservatives, the new Conservatives, which are really Christian Democrats. The old style Christian Democrats masquerading somehow as a right-wing fiscally conservative party, which is total nonsense. They're just shifting the centre.
Yeah, you've got Labour, who are a bunch of terrorist sympathisers, or the leadership's a bunch of terrorist sympathisers, and communists. I was actually in Trafalgar Square, or passing through, not in, whilst McDonnell was standing under a nice little communist banner with anti-war flags flying. Yes. Yes. What the Lib Dems are, well, I'm not sure that Tim Farron's going to beat Mr. Fishfinger.
Are there any polls from the area? Do we know how Mr. Fishfinger is doing?
What constituency is Tim Farron?
I would really be pleased.
I'm sullying. Well, the latest this is the latest article on it. With Russia Today, yes, they have trolled beautifully. Yes. Let's see, where is it? Oldham West. Oh, no, sorry, no, that's not necessarily it. No, I don't know where is it? Westmoreland and Lonsdale. Let's see if there are any polls from there. I'm going to leave that up there because it's just such a glorious. UK polling reports. That's 2015 results. No. I don't know if there's any. It doesn't
There's nothing quite yet. The crowdfunding campaign stands at £23.01. That's very nice. People have a good sense of humour.
Yes, he's covered his deposit.
He raises the other point that there's no sensible protest vote anymore. Either a politically oriented protest vote, as UKIP was, or perhaps a single issue vote, or any form of protest vote. It's
the monster raving loony party.
It's outdated.
It was nice when we had Screaming Lord Sutch. I miss him. He was good for politics.
He was.
It was quite nice having someone who shared a stage with Jimmy Page and John Bonham, ridiculing the political system. It felt right.
Yeah. There needs to be a bit of that. There needs to be a bit of satire and a less toxic means of protest and a more direct means of protest, an indication of not a politically controversial position, but just a disenfranchisement and a rejection of the status quo from the status quo.
Yes.
And as there is no way to protest, instead we have feeble votes for May.
Yeah, well, that's basically why I think it's predictable to within a margin of error this time, because it's the resigned votes like ours who realise that if you don't vote for the Conservatives, you're going to get either not a Brexit or cloth cap in hand Corbyn being bent over the table by Mutti May and rammed with a strap on.
Yep.
This is sort of the type of German dungeon porn you actually don't want to watch. It's just no.
And of course, because there's no sensible opposition or even party keeping vigil over Brexit as an active UKIP might, we only have the Brexit May offers, which, well, maybe it is a hard Brexit or a Brexit that doesn't compromise the nation, in which case we've had a lucky outcome, but there's certainly nothing that guarantees that.
I'm suspecting we will have an opposition in residence, which might help that. If you think about the Rees-Mogg figures, the Andrew Brigden figures, the Fabricant figures.
Well, yes, let's hope so.
I think the opposition in residence will kick in. Whether that opposition in residence is used to employed to fend off the Lords, though, rather than actually change the course that the Conservative hierarchy are on.
Yes.
I want to see the Conservative Party destroyed, ideally. I would like to see Labour destroyed as well. I've just rested on this screen for a while now, whilst we're.
I'd like to see a shift in the parties. Yes, I would too. And I'd like the split elsewhere. I think the current party split is extremely artificial.
I'm going to stop screen sharing because I think everyone's pretty bored of that image by now. Do you have you just have a blank thing, don't you?
I have a blank thing.
Yeah,
I have
okay,
nothing to share.
that's fine. So do I.
I have naught but my voice.
Yes, I thought not.
But yeah, I don't really think that the whole left-right construct for parties at the moment is incredibly artificial, and it's a good excuse to keep all parties approximately the same and representative of the same interest groups, really, special interest groups. Only real differences do favour the unions quite so much. So,
No, yeah, that's
politics proper here.
Yeah, I don't see. No, you need a good. We need a good right. I don't mind having a right-wing, slightly authoritarian party or larger government party. That's part of the democratic process. Similarly, left-wing, larger democratic, sort of, it's like large government party. But that's fine. I don't mind having that split.
I don't mind having any particular party. It's
But the thing, what
particular
irks me is the lack of a small government party is what annoys me.
Yeah,
there isn't
absolutely.
one.
But it's the usual thing. It's trying to wean people off the of welfare and other people's money, basically, because a small government party, at the very least, presumes that public sector parasites are going to try to be competitive and develop value in the private sector, and are naturally unhappy about that. And once you've given them the free funds at very little effort that comes with a large public sector and with large higher taxation, then it's hard to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Same thing with income tax and so on. You cannot significantly decrease income tax simply because there is an assumption that it should be there. It's a political position now rather than an economic position.
Yeah.
So, but of course, it comes back to the old issue that eventually you run out of people to steal from, either because they run dry or because they get tired of it and leave your jurisdiction, and then people start to starve. And that's the end of it all. When you've got a starving populace, things change. So you can only steal money for so long, especially when you're quite hell-bent on stealing quite so much of it. People put up with a fair amount of parasitical behavior, but if it's ever escalating and starts to become very intrusive, then they get tired of it.
Oh yes, I can't see not from within the sort of mainstream parties an actual anti-tax party though.
Nor can I. I can't even see a party that really wishes to diminish the public sector. The Conservatives understand that there's a need to run less of a budget deficit, at least, something that they can pretend is manageable. But that is the reason they have for decreasing the public sector. It's not because they feel philosophically there should be a minimal public sector or a small government.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, the Conservatives have been around so long that if they reduce the size of the government, they actually reduce their power.
Yeah.
It's very simple. It would be an absolute. It'd be a really stupid move from their perspective of they want power.
People will vote the other way if they reduce the size of the public sector. I don't think they gain any votes. I don't necessarily agree that the civil service is party allied. I think they're a power in their own right in many ways.
No, I wasn't saying that. No, I was just trying to say that if they decrease the size of the public sector, they don't gain anything.
No, they don't. As a party, they don't gain anything, And of course, in that case, we're we're back to the old socialist and communist dilemma where the party comes before the people.
Not
And
happening.
I think we basically are. I think that's where British politics sits. The party comes first, and even more so, the party's vested interests come first.
Yes. Which
There's
is why Ashcroft, sorry, not Paddy Ashton. Ashcroft was so upset.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was quite funny when he accused Cameron of pig fucking.
Yes.
I can imagine that happened, but I don't care. I really, really don't care. I mean, if that's what Cameron did at his university, then I'm sure there's a lot of people who did a lot worse.
Yeah, it's not terribly relevant to anything.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether or not he put his.
It's not for those reasons that I'd like to offer him a long string of rope.
No.
So, he's earned that honor through his own actions, not just those reporters.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I'm struggling to. Was Thatcher really the last good PM we had? No, I'm not even sure she was particularly good. She just did a good job of the Falklands.
She did good and bad things. I don't know. I wonder if historically we can look back and really pick out some excellent PMs. I mean, I suppose the ones that we can pick out as being superb have just been polished by history. The bits that people didn't really care about but weren't particularly positive have been forgotten. And if we decided to really dig in, we'd find negative after negative as well.
History will be kind to me, for I intend to write it.
Yeah.
Well, it has been very kind to Mr. Churchill.
Yeah, it has. It has.
And actually,
well, yeah, sort of. Yeah.
He did earn it. He did earn. History being kind. Yeah. He did the job required of him for 6 years. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I do think he was among the last conservatives, really. Because I wouldn't really call Thatcher a conservative. The Thatcherites are their own sect, at least, of conservatism. So
Thatcherite is British Reaganism, to a greater or lesser extent.
In a way, yes. I think that's a simplification of it, but
it was a gross simplification, but
Thatcherism is also I think fairly reactionary. It was a response to a situation that the public felt had to be handled somehow. Well, many situations. It was a series of responses. It wasn't something that was self-complete and defined or even ideologically based. I mean, I think that in some ways maybe one of the reasons why she gets praised, because she was truly pragmatic in many cases.
Yeah, she was. It was a triumph of pragmatism over. What am I trying to say? Yeah, well, it triumphed of pragmatism over moralizing. It was a large amount of "fuck you, I'm fixing the problem," which actually there's a time and a place for it.
There is a need for political pragmatism, absolutely. But it is not the be all and end all. That's the downside.
Yes. Anyway, I think I'm going to end the live stream.
That sounds reasonable. I think we've covered a wide range of topics, and it's going to be interesting to see how the election plays out and whether our
so I think
the calculations are representative.
Yes, I think so. What would the original one, which I think we're sticking with, was what was it? Let's go back. Let's go right back and undo everything we did.
Undo all of the good work.
Oh, I don't think we can. Okay, maybe we can't go back that far. Oh well. Oh no, that's about what it was, wasn't it? Yes, that was roughly right.
That was one of them. Yeah, I don't quite agree with that one, but yeah.
Yeah, no, that is the original.
Okay.
Is it?
That favors the Liberals a bit, but oh well.
Oh no, it's not. No, that doesn't. Is it? Oh dear, no, that's broken. Oh well. No, that was roughly what it was. So what is it? 386 Tory, so 159 Labour. Yeah, I know you think it favours the Lib Dems a bit much, but actually, I don't think it does. This is where I disagree with you.
Let's see where it comes out.
SNP rough. That's Scotland is hand wavy. So is Wales, but I think those figures seem reasonable to me. Let's see if the Conservatives.
I don't think it's far off. I think that's about right. I think SNP maybe down to 52. I think Liberals down a bit. Con at around 400. Labour at 150 to 160. Yeah, I think that's within margins of error.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you if you managed to make it this far.
Yeah, thank you for listening.
See you if there is a next time.
We will do this another day.